So hey everyone, my name is Yograj Sikka. I am student of Center for Global Education at SIT331 University in collaboration with Deakin University, Australia. Today I am demonstrating my task 4.1p, which is persistent layer of SIT331, which is for full stack development secure backend application. So in this task, we had to make a video for the task 4.1p, which is persistent layer. So we already know in the previous task, which is 3.2p, in which we had built a complete REST API with all endpoints working correctly there. However, the data was stored in the memory list, which means every time the application restarted, the data was wasted. That's not the practical for real world application. So our goal in this task is to make it a proper persistent layer between the API and a database. So in this task we had to install various things, like we had to install and set up PostgreSQL. Then we had to create a new database called SIT331 in this. After that we had to design design and create two database tables, one for robot command and one for map commands. Then after that we had to install npgsql.net library to connect the PostgreSQL with the C#. After that we had to make a persistent folder with two data access classes, robot command data access and the map data access. After that we had to insert the implement various queries like select, insert, update and delete operation. Connect that data access classes to the existing API controller so that they will be working on the Postman or Insomnia as well. After that we had to generate a database schema file using pg_dump for submissions. So after that, the key concept of this, we had to make a persistent layer. So the key concept here is to make a persistent layer side between database and the application layer, which means if we ever need the data to switch databases in the future, we only need to change the persistent layer and controller only. So the technology stack for this was PostgreSQL as database engine and npgsql.net data provided for connecting the PostgreSQL to the C#. So this is my task. I will follow the approach like, firstly I will install and set up the PostgreSQL on my Mac using Homebrew. So username of my PostgreSQL is Yograj and I left the password blank so that it will be different and unique from everyone else in the class. And then after that I had created the database SIT331 using the create database command. So now I had designed two tables in it, robot command and the map, making sure the column and names with the types matched exactly with the properties defined in the task for 3.2p. I had used the varchar for string properties, boolean for bool properties, timestamp for date and time, and integer with generated always as a identity for the auto generated increment id column. So after that, after creating all the tables, I seeded them in the initial data, 5 robot commands which we had made earlier: left, right, move, place and report. And there are three maps: move, moon, Deakin and Burwood. So after that I had installed the npg SQL and set up it, so which it created my persistent folder and wrote those data access classes. And finally I will update at the end I would update the controllers to use these data access classes instead of in memory list. So after that I had made the connection string. I had used host is equals to host as the local host, username as Yograj, password is blank, database as the SIT331. So now let's move into the code and let's see the code, what are they saying. So this is my first table which I had created. In this, firstly I had created the id. This is an integer column which we defined as the identity column, which means PostgreSQL will automatically increment it whenever a new row is inserted. So after that I had made the name as the varchar so that it will get the input in the under the I had given the size to them at the as 50, so that it will not be null and not be empty there. So after that there is description, which is a varchar with 800 character maximum, and it is marked as null because it's optional. You can add this description or no, if you don't want it you can delete as well. After that I had made the boolean in the is move command to check and it is compulsory not null corresponding to the bool is move command property. So after that there is a create date time in which I had it is modifiable, and the both timestamp column not null corresponding to the data time in C sharp. So the next table which I had made is the map. So this is exactly almost same as of the old one. There is no certain changes. There is just changes of the columns and row, in which column is an integer for the width of map and row is for the height of the map. So after that let's move on to the after that I had set up the name and the ID there in map.controller. You can see it. I had set up these things, like giving giving all the values there, like giving all the things like host as localhost, machine username as the Yograj, password blank, database as a SIT331. So in production environment, this connection string would never be hard coded in the source code, so it will be easy for us to change the code there and easily get the output from the another. If we want to use another software, or another person will get the same things, so it will be easy for them. So now let's move on to the robot command data access. So this is my code. In this I had made the several things. First one is the get robot command. So in this I had made the get robot command here. So for getting the get robot command method, I had retrieved all the robots from the database. It creates an empty list to hold the result. Then it creates npg SQL connection object using the connection string and opens it. After that, it had created the npg SQL command as a SQL select from robot command query. It has executed the command with an executor reader. So after inside the loop I had given the doctor read, when we read each column and extract the values by the column and name using casting. For example, if we get doctor bracket id to int and doctor name to string, and doctor is command to bool, so on. And for the null description column, we use the as string pattern, which returns the null if the value is db null. So after you for using these condition statements are critically important, because they ensure the connection command and the data reader are properly closed and disposed there. After use, even if any exception occurs there, this will prevent that thing from the memory leaks and the database connection as well. So after that I had made the robot by id. So in robot by id I had done the similar work which I had done in the old robot command, but just added the where clause, in which I had given the id as the parameter. So after that there is a add robot command option. So in add robot command action, we had given the method insert a new robot command into our database. The SQL insert statement specify all the columns, and this returning id closes at the end and at the PostgreSQL feature. So after that I had made the update robot command, which will be helpful in updating or in changing the minor changes in our old command or the old id which will be added there. So after that I had given the delete robot command. In this method is to run a delete SQL statement where id close again, where we had used the id close as well. Execute known query returns the number of affected rows in it and return true if deletion was successfully done by there. So after that there is another command to get robot command name exist. If the robot is already exist, then it will show an error, and it will show that the robot already exists, and execute scalar returns the count as long, and we return true if that is greater than 0. So now let's move on to the map data access. So this is almost same as of I had made in the robot command. In this I had firstly made the get map and get map by id method, which are same as of that one, but the additional thing is the column and rows value from the data reader and the pass them to the map constructor there. So the map add method includes column and rows in the insert statement. The update map method updates the column and rows in the addition to the name and description. After that, the end for returning closes in the end add map, since the map has computed in square. So all the things that here are the similar from the old one. So now let's move to the controllers which I had updated there. So here is my robot command controller. So the final update we had made in it, we had made the data classes instead of using the enlist memory which we were using the previous task, which is task 3.2p. I had just replied the reference to the static commands or map list to call the appropriate API, appropriate data access. For example, instead of return me if, in the past we are returning the memory enlist directly in the get robot command, I can robot command access dot get robot command, which requires the query and return the result there. So the main changes which I had made here is the point of persistent layer pattern here. In the controller remain clean and focus on the HTTP handling, while all the database logic is another side encapsulated there. So if we ever switch to the PostgreSQL there, it will be to a different database. We can only need to change the data access classes, not the whole code or not the whole controllers. Controllers will be same, just the data access class will be changed there. So now let's run the code and check whether it is working or not. So as you can see, it is working on the localhost 5170. So now let's move to the insomnia part and check whether it is working or not. So now let's see, there is the 40 test here in this. So now let's run all the 40 at the same time. So as you can see, as you can see, it is giving an error. It is giving an error because I had not cleared all my cache or not cleared my database before, because the data is already had there, and the same data, if we try to push the same data at the same time, it will give you an error. So to resolve that issue, we had to use some commands which will be given in the task sheet here. So as you can see here, before adding anything to the database, we had to firstly dump or truncate all the tables before, and after that we had to run it again and check whether it is working or not. So now let's dump all that things at one. So these are my queries which I had to run there, and truncate all my tables, so that there will be no entity or no identity in that. So now let's run this. So now again check that if it is working or not. So as you can see here, now all 40 out of 40 tests were passed, and these are my tables which I had created here. You can see here three tables will be created here. First one is the map, another one is the robot command, and the next one is the user, which we will be using further, not in this task. So now let's check this file is created on our desktop using the pg dump, which we had given in the task sheet to use there. So these are the things which we will be created on our SQL file, which it is giving error because I had opened it on the MySQL application. So the here you can see the file. This is the file which will be generated by using pgdump command, which we had to submit there on track as well. So this is the command, this is my file. Thank you for being with me. Thank you, have a nice day.